Porn isn't the problem. It's simply a tool that you are using to basically avoid your real life. If you don't know me, my name is Krishna, and I help young men quit their porn addictions. When I was most addicted to porn, I was probably the most stressed that I ever was in my entire life. So this was during later years of middle school and earlier years of high school. And the main stress that I had was the form of childhood abuse, right? So that was one of the main things I was avoiding when I was watching porn. Every single day there would be chaos, there would be stress. My dad would be like shouting at people, he'd be hitting people, he'd be hitting me. It was a very, very high stress environment, and I had to be hyper vigilant in order to survive that environment. And those were the times when I was most addicted to porn. And honestly, it makes sense, because when you are living in a high stress environment, how are you going to cope with that stress? 13, 14-year-old me, he didn't know about effective ways to deal with your stress. He didn't know about, oh yeah, this is how you face your problems, this is how you solve your problems. He didn't know any of that. And so he turned to video games and he turned to porn. What was I avoiding? What was I dodging? Well, I was dodging the abuse that was going on at the time. I was also probably dodging the schoolwork that I had to do, the stress, the homework, the responsibilities that I had to do around the house. I was avoiding all of those things when I was watching porn. And so porn is strategy. It's a form of strategy, in my opinion. It's not about just desire. And what I mean by this, and I'll explain what I mean. The brain will choose relief when it gets too overwhelmed with something. Let's say you come home from a long day of work, or you come home from school, for example. You had a pretty long day at school. You didn't really want to be there, but your parents forced you to go anyway. And so your teachers, you might not even like your teachers that much, and they give you a bunch of homework that you have to do, for example. You come home, you see a huge pile of homework that you have to do, all these assignments, all these things that you couldn't care less about doing. And you might have pressure from your parents, pressure from your family to do well in school, and so that creates a little bit of stress, a little bit of friction. And that's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to deal with this type of stress. So what do? Right? You go to your bathroom, you load up your phone, and you watch porn. The urge comes after the stress. The stress actually triggers the urge to happen, because your brain is thinking, hey, this is a stressful environment. I don't like what I'm feeling right now. Let me go watch porn so I can then relieve that stress. And if you keep doing this over and over and over again, it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle, right? It reinforces that loop, because the avoidance actually compounds the pain, because you feel stressed. You don't want to feel stressed, so you then watch porn. After you watch porn, you feel there's debt. There's a certain amount of debt that you have to pay, emotional debt. You feel shame, you feel guilty. You just wasted a bunch of time. You talk negatively about yourself. That creates even more stress, which then leads to you watching porn again. And so you see, this becomes a very, very dangerous loop that you get stuck in, of you feel stress and then you watch porn, and then porn causes more stress, so then you watch porn again. That's how addiction forms. That's how addiction works. And so you're not trapped by porn necessarily. You're not trapped because I feel horny or anything like that. No. You're trapped because you avoid the things that you know you need to face, that you know you should be doing, but you aren't doing. The interesting thing, though, is that when you face your life's problems, when you face those problems that you know you should be facing, but you aren't facing, whatever that is for you, porn loses its purpose. Everything that we do, it has a purpose to it. Of course it does. Porn has a specific purpose in your life. That purpose is emotional regulation. And I get it. We all live stressful lives. Life is pretty hard. Life is pretty difficult. I get that. Okay? At the same time, that porn is not aligned with who you want to be. You know that you don't want to be addicted to porn anymore, that you don't want to keep relapsing over and over again. And so you need to face whatever it is that's causing you to watch porn in the first place. And the interesting thing is that when you face it, it loses all its power. When you start doing the homework, for example, when you start trying to improve your mental health, you don't need porn to emotionally regulate anymore. You don't need it as a stress reliever. And so the overarching theme of this entire thing is you're using porn to avoid your life. And so the solution is to build a life where you don't need porn anymore. It's not just about quitting porn, it's about reshaping the way you live to where porn is not part of it anymore. It doesn't need to be. And so the action step that I'm going to give you right now is to write down, when the urge hits, what am I avoiding? What are the things that I know that I should be doing but I'm not doing? And then pick one thing and just do that thing for 5 minutes. So let's say, again, let's use the homework example. You have a crap ton of homework that you need to do, a lot of assignments. Well, just pick one homework assignment that you need to do, and then do it. Just do it in 5 minutes. That's it. And what you'll actually find is that the hardest part is just starting. The hardest part of this entire process of facing the things that you're avoiding, whether that's emotions, whether that's tangible tasks, the hardest part is actually starting the thing. But once you start the thing, you kind of realize, okay, this is actually not as bad as I thought it was. And so if you're serious about learning how to quit porn, and you find that you keep relapsing, even though you know porn is not good for you, even though you know porn is not part of who you want to be, I made a free framework that you can use the moment when the urge hits. So right when the urge hits and you don't know what to do, you can use that framework that I made for you, and that will help you to manage the urge. Not to fight the urge, but to manage it. And so if you're interested in that, it's completely free. Then you can go and you can click the link in the description down below. Take care, brother.